Monday, April 25th, 1:22 p.m., Foundation for Excellence Board of Directors Executive Committee meeting. And I would like to call to order this meeting. After I call this meeting to order, we're going to hear from Steve. He has some information for us regarding incoming phone calls for the meeting today.
Thank you, Madam President. So public comment is welcomed at all FFP meetings, and if you're in person, you're able to do that at the appropriate time that we will announce. You'll have 4 minutes to speak, which is timed. For those watching at home, you can also call in, and the number for that is 1-888-382-9556. Again, the number is 1-888-382-9556. You can call at any point, and you'll be put into a queue, and then you will be allowed to publicly comment live at the appropriate time that we mentioned in the meeting, which is going to be under item E. When you call, please note that it'll say it's calling City Commission, but that's because there's a shared line for boards and commissions. You will, in fact, have reached the right spot, so please be patient, and we'll announce the appropriate time for comment, and I'll repeat the number later and give a moment for people to call in if they haven't yet. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Steve. So item B for the approval of minutes, motion to approve minutes from January 31st, 2022.
So moved.
Thank you, Director Hess. Support. Supported by Director Carroll. Motion passes. Item C is, there will be no item C today because there are no reports and communications. So we will move right into item D, which is our regular agenda items, and I'm going to pass it on to Steve.
Thank you, Madam President. Item D1 is the public comment rules. So the background on this is that a lot has changed, certainly because of COVID. We were remote for 2 years. We've come back in person. We had to kind of improvise with rules for City Hall and rules for public board meetings over these last couple months. Things have settled a bit. We know that we're meeting here. We know that we're meeting live and then also streaming. And with that, we wanted to bring forward public comment rules just to get those on the record. And then you'll once these are approved in whatever form, you'll see that we'll update them on the back of the cover page for all of our meetings. That just ensures with every packet we put out, people have access to those rules and web links and the like. So you'll see here a few more helpful tools for the public that we didn't include before. So one, it's just a link to the city website, a link as well to where the agendas are posted, the general phone number, and email inbox where people can write or call in advance for questions on the agenda, where I'm happy to respond to any comments or questions that we receive. And then a statement that we're held in the community room, and then there's a link there to our Facebook and YouTube accounts. And then the comment rules below. The only thing that has really changed here is just we're specifying the phone number, which we didn't have, of course, before COVID. And then City Commission has moved from 4 minutes of public comment to 3 minutes. And that's really, they're kind of trying to roll that out across the board, or it's certainly recommended. So we've added that here. As an independent board, you can choose any number you like. And these rules can, of course, be negotiated or discussed if the board has, opinions on what brings more value to attendees or viewers. But these seem to kind of capture everything that we need to really be of the greatest service to the public person and watching, listening, commenting at home or wherever they may be. So we would then put these forward, or these are put forward for a motion to just recommend for adoption by the board at the meeting today. And then they would be official after the board meeting.
I have one question for you, Steve. Are these public comment rules available on either the FFE website or the city website as of yet?
Good question. So these in some form are already in the City Commission packets, and then they would also be on one of the pages, but I can't actually specifically say which one. What would happen once they're adopted is we could easily put these,
like you said, on each of them?
they'd be on each one anyway, yeah.
Okay.
It'd be part of the software at that point.
Okay.
But then if we could also put it on the website as, if we wanted to have like a news item, that's like public comment rules updated.
Okay.
So that's just, available for people.
Okay. So somebody looking for it could obviously get it as an attachment to today's agenda notes. Okay. Thank you, Beth. Okay. Well, thank you for that, Steve. We do need to have a motion for recommending adopting the meeting and public comment rules. Thank you, Director Carroll. Do I have a second?
I'll support that.
Thank you, Director Hess. So, yes, motion moved. Moving on to item D2, annual officer nomination slate.
Wonderful. So, flipping to the next page, that's item D2, is following in precedent from past meetings. What the executive committee has done is nominated a slate. In this case, it's been also status quo. So the same people who have been nominated from before. So here you'll see the recommended slate of nominations would be myself, President Calderon-Hueso, Vice President Ritzema, Treasurer Carroll, Secretary Miller. And as with last year, I believe that the tenor was eager to serve, also eager to create space for those who would like to serve, also eager to help succession for those coming up, people who may be interested. And so I know that from our conversations, that holds true again this year. So that's why we've just recommended this slate. And, there can be conversation at the board meeting if anyone really did want to step forward, I think. But this at least gives the board something to respond to. And at least we know that we've got, a functioning executive committee and officer slate moving forward. So with that, the recommendation would just be that you would nominate this as the slate, and then we would include that in it's already in the regular agenda. We bring that up.
So would that be a motion to make the recommendation for the nomination slate?
I think you could just vote to nominate this slate of officers.
Okay. Could I please have a vote to nominate this slate of officers?
So moved.
Thank you, Director.
Yes.
Yes. And item D3 is to approve the draft board meeting agenda for April 25th, 2022. Steve?
Thank you, Madam President. And you'll see this is a much lengthier memo just because it wants to include all of the pieces in it. So what you'll see is under background on page 5 of 8, you'll see the specific pieces of each of the agenda items that's on page 7 of 8. But so we'll have the approval of minutes from the last board meeting. We'll have the Finance Committee report, which covers all the things we just covered in the Finance Committee and was approved to go through. It would be the year-end financial review and then the most recent endowment presentation. Steve Ascenzi will again present those. The Executive Committee report would have updated public comments. Those have been put forward, so we have an Executive Committee report there. And Madam President, I'm happy to just present that since it's kind of an item from staff anyway.
Thank you.
And then the fourth item, regular agenda, would be the annual director appointments. And you'll see those listed out here. There's 7 of them because they include reappointments, which we have generally don't talk about as because they're not incoming new faces. But there's 7 total, and those include the terms and the expirations there. And then the second item is officer elections, which we just did, and then annual committee nominations, which we'll see in the final packet has that sheet in it. So then you'll see on page 7 of 8, those are listed out here under B, C, and D. And the motion we're looking for in this case is approval of the board agenda as presented, or if there's any additions or subtractions you can make, we can make those now.
Okay. So before we move to approve the meeting agenda, is there any changes or questions?
Are folks, these folks are all going to be here today?
I do know city manager will not.
No, our appointees, the appointees.
From the new, they were they've all RSVP'd, so I'm hoping that they all can all attend, yeah.
Good.
Am I late?
Yeah.
Welcome, Director Miller.
1:15. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, ye who brings the snacks is forgiven. Unwritten rule.
Yep, there you go.
So,
Okay.
if there are no questions or amendments, the motion is to approve the board meeting agenda for April 25th, 2022.
So moved.
Thank you,
Support.
Director Carroll,
Support.
and supported
By Director Miller.
by Director Miller.
Does she get her name in
Yeah.
minutes?
She's here to participate.
All right.
Excellent.
All right, so moved. Steve, could you please see if we have any public comments at this time?
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, for viewers at home, listeners at home, once again, the number is 1-888-382-9556. And so feel free to call in with public comment. You'll have 3 minutes. And I will start a timer for a minute now to see if anybody's in the queue or calling. And we're now, oh, we have a caller, so we'll go ahead and answer that. Good afternoon, caller. You'll have 3 minutes. Go ahead with your public comment, please.
My name is
Sure.
all your meetings up at the bottom of the screen, there's a call with number. At will, and get all the time, and you change the number now, that's the original. I wanted to bring to your attention that since you are controlling the purse string for, the initiatives of the city, we have had a problem in Southtown for decades on flooding, but it only recently, in the last decade, has become a major issue because of the failed septic, storm sewer and the failed back pressure in the sanitary sewer. As of now, we have a new flooding spot on Lake Street, or Portage Road between Lake Street and Dewey. It's something major is going on now flooding Portage Road during rainstorms. Maybe due to the recent developments, or maybe due to a flaw on the road, but I can't get the city to take priority to this because they haven't accepted the Southtown neighborhood plan. I just want to bring this to your attention since the city is ignoring it. It's a major problem. I would also like to ask the Foundation for Excellence to take a lead in this city of excellence and once and for all recognize disability inclusion as equal to race and gender. Currently, the Civil Rights Board is truly an anti-racist board named misleading. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department is an anti-racism board. I would like to start at the Foundation for Excellence to once and for all recognize disability equal to race and gender, as well as all other categories equal. Not use this division any longer. I think you're the board that can set the standard for the city. We'll simply adopt these simple changes. I appreciate your time today and have a good day.
Thank you, caller. It appears there are no other callers in the line, and we're well over a minute of open phone lines here, so we're going to go ahead and close the phone lines for public comment. And with that, Madam President, we would be on to item F of board member comments.
All right, at this time, are there any comments from our board members?
Sorry, I messed up on the time.
Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you could make it.
I do have a comment. I'm
Yes, Director Carroll.
curious about the comment about disability not being included in diversity efforts in the city. I know that's come up before, but I just was wondering if I could get some background about that. And, you know, being a disabled person myself, it is something I'm interested in, and certainly through our organization, you know, we're dealing a lot with DEI as well, and I want to make sure that the disabled community is included.
So as an impromptu response to that, I would say first, let me get more information
Certainly.
and to be specific with the questions and the answers, but just unequivocally, you know, we are inclusive of ADA and of anyone's needs at the city. We have, and we can really kind of go down the line on in-person or remote, but we do strive and we just really meet all of our requirements for inclusivity. The particular comments of the caller, I can look into, but can't certainly speak to those, you know, right away. I don't really know the background of that. Or he made reference to the Civil Rights Board, which is a separate entity, so I'd want to consult and see really where they are as well. But certainly the interest and, I really think certainly the letter of the law, we're inclusive of disability.
Absolutely, yes. And, yeah, being a public entity, I know that, there are the ADA requirements that,
Yes.
must be followed.
I agree with you, Steve. There definitely needs to be some more information brought up about this. I do have to admit that I'm new to the Civil Rights Board myself, and so that I do know that that is something that came up because in doing some of the research, I did notice that there were some concerns publicly. There was publications out there that you could find yourself around that, but I definitely wanted to give the board an opportunity to discuss where those concerns came from. So I definitely don't want to speak in place of the board, but I do know that that concern was expressed publicly. So I'm sure that the board has looked into and is addressing that.
And just as a point of, I guess, order or distinction is that there's, you know, the city and its employees, the city and public, everyone it serves essentially, and then the Civil Rights Board, which is a relatively specific entity for handling concerns with housing and others in the city, but, so those would be sort of complaints that the Civil Rights Board helps assess, look at, and then recommend through a process of potential remediation, we'll say. So just to clarify, the Civil Rights Board is its own entity which has a particular mandate, and which isn't about staff or just it's the city's general service. So does that accurately represent it, President?
I would say so too, because I had the same concerns, obviously, especially going into something new, and so I wanted to understand that I still don't claim to fully understand it, but there is definitely some information out there, and I think that might be part of it, is what they are able to assist with and what they're able to pass on to other agencies that are maybe better equipped to assist with. That's as I understood it as well, so thank you, Steve, for that. Any additional board member comments or concerns, ideas? Okay. Moving on then, if there's no other comments, I would like to adjourn the meeting.
Absolutely.
Meeting adjourned.
139, thank you.
1:39.